Thank you. Thank you and welcome. So, a few years ago, I was driving from West Palm Beach, Florida to Orlando, Florida to meet a friend. And I ended up in Jacksonville. And if you don't think that's funny, take a look at the map behind me. Yeah. I still have trouble believing I did that. So then a couple of years later, I was picking up that same friend at the airport in Los Angeles. And we're headed back down to my house in Mission Viejo. And we are laughing and talking and having a great time. And I look up, and dang it, if we are not in Sherman Oaks. And I have another map up here for those who don't know the Southern California geography. So what I'm here to do today is not to talk to you about my driving prowess, fortunately. But I am here to talk to you about women in the commercial real estate industry. And I'm here to talk about the real problems that are facing us as women and that are facing us as an industry in today's world. And I really love this concept of real. I love real property. It's why I'm in commercial real estate. I believe in investing in the built environment. And I love that concept of just something that exists no matter what. If you invest in a property and the deal goes sour and somebody's got to walk away, there's still an asset there. And that asset can be recapitalized and rehabilitated and reimagined and reignited into a community. And that is a great metaphor and a great beginning to our walk together today. So my talk today is called Confidently Walking in the Wrong Direction. Now this is something that I've joked for many years would be the title of my autobiography, probably because of the driving you saw earlier. But what I really want to do today is focus on this concept of going in the wrong direction. And you may say to me like, Jen, why? Why would I want to sit here and take my time looking at a talk about going in the wrong direction? I don't want to be wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong, right? But I'm going to challenge you to look at this from a different perspective today. And that perspective begins with one question. And the question is, when does a decision become the wrong decision? It's not always the wrong decision. Sometimes it's right. In fact, when we make the decision, we think it's right. And for a long time, it may be right. And then at some point, that decision can turn wrong. Let's look at this in daily life examples. So Samsung and LeBron James. Now guys, when a marketing team can get the best basketballer in the world to promote their phone, that's a win. That is a good decision. Well done, Samsung. Good job. In March of 2014, LeBron's Samsung phone goes haywire and he tweets about it to his 12 million followers. All of a sudden, that becomes a wrong decision, right? Let's look at one more, shall we? Ronald Wayne. In April of 1976, Wayne was a co-founder of Apple. He owned 10% of the company's stock. That was a good decision, Mr. Wayne. Well done. After less than 2 weeks with the company, he sold his shares for $800. Had he held on to those, they'd be worth $63 billion today. Sorry, Mr. Wayne, that's a wrong decision. Okay? So why do I tell you that? What is the point I'm trying to make? The point is, we could all be walking in wrong decisions right now. And we may be. So what do we do about that? How do we approach that? The key is to recognize when you are walking in the wrong direction and keep walking forward. That is the key to hypergrowth. Maya Angelou says this in a beautiful way. She's a genius. And she says, do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. Now, that's a perfect mantra for us as humans. And it's also a great mantra for the commercial real estate industry. And it's a good place for us to look at what is happening in the commercial real estate industry right now today. So commercial real estate is a wildly dynamic industry. You guys, this is an industry that reinvents itself over and over and over. The spaces that you go into today are nothing like the places that you visited 10 years ago because they're always changing. I mean, we are the Madonna of industries. So what is the challenge? What is the problem here, guys? Well, I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is that women comprise less than 37% of the workforce in our industry. Now, this is based on a study by Crew Network, Commercial Real Estate Women, and they do this benchmark study every 5 years. So when I saw this number, I thought, okay, 37%, all right, it's not great, but we have some road ahead of us. We can grow, we can build. But it got me thinking. I thought, I wonder where we've come from. They've been doing this study for a while. I wonder how much growth we've had, so we can maybe project how much growth we're going to have. So luckily, Crew does this survey every 5 years, and they've been doing it since 2005. So I look back and I think, well, what could the percentage have been in 2005? It has to be really low, right? So guys, drum roll, please. Let's get ready. What could it be? 36%. Yeah, 36%. We got one measly percentage point in the entire time that Grey's Anatomy has been on television. That is an atrocity. This is a problem. This is a real problem. Now let's look at some more numbers. In 2010, we reached 43%. We're going up. We're getting toward the 50% mark. This is great. But then what happens? 2015, 35%. We drop back down. Guys, this is the wrong direction, and we have to do something about it. So what can we do? We need more women in commercial real estate. So now I'd like to speak to you a little bit about kind of the trajectory of women, and I'll speak a little bit from my personal experience. But what I have found is that sometimes making the decision on how and where to move forward is actually the most difficult part. And this is really just a reality for women. It's also a reality for everyone. I will say this part is really applicable for anyone, because all of us have a lot of life decisions to make. We are making decisions constantly. And when we find out that the decision is wrong, we usually do one of two things. We either do this, not listening, I'm not wrong. We've seen a lot of this over the past few years. This, I want to just clarify, is not confidently walking in the wrong direction, okay? Because that requires openness. This is closed off. This is just wrong, all right? But this is one way that you can react when you know you're going in the wrong direction. Now, there's a second way that people tend to react, and this is the way that women tend to react when they find out they're going in the wrong direction. And that is that they want to immediately right that wrong. So women say, I will fix it. I will fix it. I will get to the right place. And what I am asking you to do today and proposing today is that you do the exact opposite. The minute that you know that the direction in which you're headed is wrong, I want to challenge you to keep going forward with the same, if not more, energy. And you may be saying, why? Why would I do that, Jen? That seems very counterproductive. Why would I take one more step forward if I know it's the wrong direction? And my answer is, you will go twice as far, twice as fast. So I'll prove that to you. But first, let's take a look at women in the commercial real estate industry and what we face. So what happens to us, and this is kind of a day or a look at the career of a woman as we come into this industry. We get our first job and we come in and we are ready, man. We are just getting in there. We're going to work and we're going to bring it and we're going to get promoted and we're going and we are running by, and all of a sudden our body stops us in our tracks and it says, ding, 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 you are now going in the wrong direction. And why? Why does that happen to us? It's because our bodies are starting to say, yeah, I'm ready. Let's bring some souls into the world. Let's create. We're starting to have this feeling that we want to do and build and do more. And so what happens is, as women, when we find out we're going in the wrong direction, we either turn an about face and we plow backward, or we freeze. And none of that is moving us forward. That's why we're seeing the numbers we're seeing. So we have to do something about that. So what I am suggesting to do about that is that when you realize you're walking in the wrong direction, you add even more confidence to your walk and you begin to watch and listen more closely. And that is a really key and important part, Because as you're pressing forward, the more you watch, the more you listen, the more the right way will appear. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I'll start with the fact that I am a Southern Mormon that went on tour with a theater troupe. That pretty much describes me in a nutshell. And I feel pretty confident that I was born in some sort of rocket cannon because I am always ready to go. That is just who I am. That is where I came from. So when I graduated from high school, the day after I graduated, I hopped on a plane the very next day and I went out to work on cruise ships. I worked on about 5 different ships. I went to about 100 ports of call. I sang, I danced, I choreographed professionally. It was effing amazing. So from there, I wanted to do more because, born in a rocket cannon, right? So I moved to New York. And while I'm in New York, I do more dancing and singing. I do a lot of waiting tables. And I went to about 190 auditions in about 10 months' time. And I booked some work. I did some summer stock. I did dinner theater. And finally, I achieved my biggest goal, which was to be a performer on a Broadway national tour. So I was on the national tour of Barry Manilow's Copacabana. You can feel free to envision me with fruit on my head, because that's what I wore. And I was also in the Full Monty. You can feel free to envision, maybe don't envision that one. We'll just skip that one. So somewhere in between those 2 tours, I was in my sublet apartment in New York City, and my body woke me up in the middle of the night, and it very clearly told me, you are going in the wrong direction. It was very, very clear. But what I did not do was stop. I kept going. But I started to lean in, to listen more, and to watch more. I ended up staying in theater for another 1.5 years. I did another tour. I toured with Rent as the company manager. And then just after that, I find myself in my 20s. I don't know what I want to do. So I moved to Paris. Of course, when I had decided to move to France, what I had was just visions of myself drinking wine and smoking and eating croissants and having the best time. But again, I was born in a rocket cannon, so I had to do something. So I went to graduate school, which was lovely. And while I was in graduate school, I kept very confidently walking in the wrong direction of acting. I did voiceover work. I did a video series. I was doing that knowing that I was waiting for this next road to appear, but that if I stayed open, it would. So I'm in Paris, I meet my wonderful husband, we move to California, and now we find ourselves in California in 2008. And at that point, I had accomplished everything that I had set out to accomplish in my whole life. I had been a performer on 2 national tours and a manager on a 3rd. I had a graduate degree. I had lived abroad. I had visited 49 of the 50 states. I spoke French. I had gotten everything that I had wanted, and I made a very critical realization. I realized that had I not walked confidently in the wrong direction, I would not have achieved what I needed to achieve to be able to take the next step and grow as fast as I did. So, we're back in 2008. I'm in California. I have my graduate degree. I am chock full of confidence. And I am the best waitress you have ever seen down at Cucina Alessa on PCH. Because it's 2008. Nobody can get a job. I can't get a job. I tried everything. I wanted to be a salon assistant. I wanted to work at the doggy daycare. I tried everything. I could not get a job to save my life. So what did I do? What do you think I did? Confidently walked in the wrong direction. So what I did was I leaned in. I leaned in to my waiting tables job. I became a shift manager, etc. But more than that, and I didn't find this out until later. Later on, I was reading my journal entries from the time, and I realized I was watching the man who owned the restaurant, and I was taking notes. I was learning how to run a workforce. I was learning how to motivate people and how not to motivate people. So today, I'm the president and CEO of a national firm, and we exist to advance commercial real estate and finance through effective communications. And I'm really proud of everything I've achieved. And I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. But what's important is for you to realize that we can learn from our life experiences, and that if we lean in, whether we know we're going right, wrong, or anyway, we will go faster. And now, let me tell you why you have to go fast. And I'm sorry, because nobody likes to be told they have to go fast. I don't like, it's my least favorite. I do not want to be rushed. It's not my favorite thing. But you guys, ladies and gentlemen, people of open hearts and open minds who represent varied perspectives, we have a responsibility to ourselves, we have a responsibility to each other, and we have a responsibility to the next generation of professionals who are coming behind us in this industry. So as part of that responsibility, I challenge you, I urge you today to remember who you are. First, as an industry, commercial real estate is a really cool industry. You guys, these are people who are creators and developers and engineers and architects, and these are the people who build the world we live in. This is an amazing industry. And then beyond that, as women of influence, women in commercial real estate, I want to ask that you remember who you are. Women are the only being that has the power to actually create a human being. That is a power that is inside you. Use it. And I know it is hard. I hear all the time about women who feel like imposters in their lives. And I really, really get it. I always feel too big in size, too big in voice, too big in ideas, just too big. But that is because society has made me and all of us believe that women are supposed to be small. But we're not. I tell you today, women, you have big power. Big power. Use it. Speak up. Develop your own opinions. And that'll happen at different times and differently at different times in your career. Be patient with yourself. But keep walking confidently in the wrong direction. Ultimately, you'll find yourself right where you need to be. Thank you.